Welcome into Reiter's Block, presented by Stephen versus the Game on Facebook Watch. I'm Bill Reiter. The finals are set. Colin Montgomerie, the golfing Hall of Famer, will join us on the show, and we'll go inside the numbers on a sneaky great Major League Baseball team so far this season. All of that and a few things more start right now. All right, let me make sure no one's listening. Gotta let you in on a little secret of mine, and I feel bad. And look, I want the guy to get healthy, get your max deal, be vibrant in the years ahead, but for the coming weeks, when June rolls around, I want Kevin Durant to remain injured. It's true. I am enjoying watching this Warriors team of old, and maybe this future version of the Warriors team, if, as Vegas expects, Kevin Durant's going to go somewhere else like New York or Los Angeles with the Clippers. I'm enjoying watching this version of the Golden State Warriors, basketball's version of the beautiful game, the challenge and the uncertainty, something that's new in these NBA Finals over the last 4 or 5 years, of Steph Curry trying to lead his group without the person most considering KD the second best or best player on the face of the earth. And here's the thing. Here's the added bonus for me, and the reason really I don't want Durant to return. This is an opportunity for Steph Curry, always underappreciated despite his greatness, to carve his ultimate opus and maybe push himself and his name into that rarefied air of top 10 or 15 players in the history of the game. Remember, these moments in the finals when everything is in front of you, the holy grail of the game is within your reach, within your grasp, and there's not the help you were supposed to have. Even when you lose, it can mark a level of total greatness. I want to push it back to LeBron James, who is the consensus favorite to track down, if anyone does, Michael Jordan as the best player in the history of the game. And I'm not saying Steph's going to end his career higher than LeBron. He's not. But like LeBron, Steph may push higher and pass more names than most people want to credit him for. And for me, the moment that I realized LeBron James, in my own mind, could pass Michael Jordan — I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago and Iowa, a child of Jordan — wasn't when he won a championship, but in 2015 when he lost an NBA championship without Kyrie. Kyrie went down after game one, without Kevin Love at all in that series. And the level LeBron played at, that was his opus. That, to me, even in defeat, was something magical. We could see something similar with Steph, though for me, Steph's got to actually win this series. And it's interesting. I was remembering this the other day when someone asked LeBron back in 2015 whether he was worried going into an elimination game. He gave the kind of answer that a Michael Jordan, an all-time great, would give.
You feel a lot less pressure this finals run just because you are undermanned and you had some injuries as opposed to previous years?
Nah, I feel confident because I'm the best player in the world.
He was right at the time. And LeBron, 36 points, 13 rebounds, 9 assists per game. Utterly and totally ridiculous, right? Steph's now the guy playing at that level, carrying his team, doing things even for Steph Curry we haven't seen before. Just taking these stats, what Curry has done this postseason without his teammate Kevin Durant on the floor. You can see there the record for that Warriors team goes from 7-4 to 5-0. The points per game markedly higher. The rebounds per game are up. The assists per game are up. He's shooting markedly better than he did during the Durant days from the three-point line. He's carrying his team. He's playing at the highest of levels. And you've started to see, and my whole thing on this show, on the radio show that I host, has been for the last 2 or 3 years that Steph was always the second best player in the NBA behind LeBron, was always the best player on his team, and that he wasn't getting the credit he deserved because he did the hardest thing for true superstars to do, took a step back, put somebody else first, actually put the team first by subjecting his own ego to the realities of it's got to come second to Kevin Durant. And you've started to see Steph start to get a little more attention, a little more of that shine, a little more of that, oh yeah, this guy's kind of a good basketball player. And I love, and here's the full quote, what Andre Iguodala said about the fact that Steph is the second greatest point guard in the history of the game. I don't think it's outlandish. I don't think it's ridiculous. I think it's entirely possible that's the case. Again, it depends where you place guys. I don't think you can go top 10 in the history of the NBA. I think we've gotten to a point because of Shaq, because of Kobe, because of Tim Duncan, that number's expanded to somewhere between 12 and 14. Let's call it 15. As the years go on, so do the number of guys who have earned their right to be considered among the best of all time. But I think Steph Curry's got a shot. I think he's got an argument for being the 15th or better player in the history of the game. Second best point guard of all time, Andre Iguodala. I'm buying that. I think that's realistic. The best shooter of all time, beyond question. He's got the championships. He's got the 2 MVPs. And now if he carries his team, his special brand of basketball is going to be and should be celebrated at a higher level than it might have been when he finally retires. And by the way, part of that, I think, brand, that reality, that greatness, is something you can't measure the way you could with LeBron stats, something you can't feel the way you could with watching Jordan just attack the rim. Steph Curry's selflessness and how that helped create this Warriors juggernaut, it's something that is worth remembering, especially now that he's come out of that little hibernation and he's doing what he's doing. And that humility is something Steve Kerr has never lost sight of and talked about recently.
Steph's just unselfish and all about the team. And I'm sure he'd love to win Finals MVP, but he's much more about the team than he is about the individual. He's been amazing throughout the playoffs, and we'll just keep counting on him and relying on him, and we're lucky to be able to do so.
It's also true, because we're human beings as sports fans, right? Narratives and the stories that we become invested in, they help to create the impressions we have forever. Jordan understood this. He was a master of marketing. The Be Like Mike, the Air Jordans. And I'm a 41-year-old man, I still get chills when I go on YouTube and I play those old Michael Jordan, I Want to Be Like Mike commercials. LeBron James, the chosen one, King James. Even back in the day with Magic and the idea of Showtime, of the Showtime Lakers and that joy. Stories matter, narratives matter. And here's what Steph Curry will be selling to the rest of us if they're able, this Warriors team behind Steph, and he's the betting favorite, by the way, to be the Finals MVP, if they get it done. That Steph Curry was always great all along. He was always the best player, which he is, by the way, on his Warriors team, and he was willing to put that aside to mask his greatness, to make KD, who's oversensitive, feel safe and happy and get the shots. And when KD went down, when KD went away from injury, Steph emerges, leads his team, doesn't lose a game or only loses a few, and is the reason the Warriors win this championship. That is the stuff, not just of greatness today, but the stuff we'll remember absolutely down the line. And think about this. He still has to go through Kawhi Leonard, who we're not sleeping on. We'll certainly do a deep dive on in the days ahead, I'm sure, over the course of the NBA Finals. Kawhi is one of the best players in the game. The last time Kawhi was healthy with the Spurs, they got out to a huge lead in the postseason against the Warriors. Kawhi got hurt, and Golden State came back, won that game, won that series. But let's just take a look as a reminder what Kawhi Leonard did to Giannis defensively in this series. Giannis, all world against everybody in the NBA, MVP against everybody in the NBA, not named Kawhi Leonard. And I think you can see there the effect of Giannis Antetokounmpo in terms of his limitations when Kawhi was on him. His three-point shooting took a nosedive. Team's offensive rating went from 118 to 86. His efficiency went down. So this isn't going to be an easy task for Steph Curry. It's not like he's playing some second-rate team. The Raptors are formidable. Kawhi is playing as good a basketball we've ever seen from the guy, and he's been a Finals MVP. So again, it's not done yet. The challenge is in front of him. The mountain still has to be scaled. But if Steph Curry goes through Kawhi, goes through Siakam, goes through this Toronto defense, keeps doing the things that he's doing, and he wins it all, it's one of the more interesting basketball stories that we've seen. It is a reminder of the remarkable greatness of Steph Curry, and it's one of the best sports stories that we've had the opportunity to root for in a long time. So again, Kevin Durant, you're a Knick next year, you're a Warrior, you're a Clipper. I hope you are incredibly, incredibly healthy and good to go starting June 20th, but I need you hurt for this NBA Finals so Steph Curry can have the opportunity to do the one thing he hasn't been able to do, hasn't allowed himself to do since you joined this team, and that is for Steph Curry to shine like one of the best 15 or 20 players in the history of the game. I'm incredibly excited. I'm also excited to talk a little golf with Colin Montgomerie, who's a Hall of Famer, who's a character, who's got a lot of insight on Pebble Beach where the U.S. Open is taking place. Caught up with him earlier in the day. It was a great interview. Think you're going to enjoy it, and we'll play it for you here on Writer's Block in just a minute. Welcome back into Los Angeles, California, and Writer's Block presented by Stefan versus the Game on Facebook Watch. I'm Bill Reiter. Earlier today, he was a really cool guy, too. He's a character. Caught up with Colin Montgomerie. He's the Hall of Fame golfer. He had a lot of insight on Tiger and Brooks Koepka and just playing at an event like the U.S. Open. Really enjoyed the talk. I think you will too. This is from earlier in the day. Colin Montgomerie, it's a thrill to have you. Thanks to our friends at Loch Lomond Whiskey for making this possible. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you very much. Delighted to be with you today, and honored to be here in New York, and fantastic city.
So we'll get to the whiskey in a second. Viewers of the show know that I'm partial to a whiskey or two or three, so I'm very excited. That's the partnership that brought you here. But I do want to ask you about maybe start with Brooks Koepka and just what has been for him a remarkable run over the last 8 majors that he's competed in. Can you put in perspective for us the level that he is playing golf at and how difficult it is, let alone to win one, but to dominate consistently when it's those kinds of events?
Oh yeah, it was a very good question to start with. That Brooks Koepka, to win 4 out of the last 8 majors is Tiger-esque, and we haven't seen this since the domination of golf from Tiger Woods, and even 4 out of 8 was good for him. So this is the start of something very special. 3 out of the 4 courses that he has won on, Bellerive, Bethpage, and of course Erin Hills, were set up in a way to favor that type of golf, the power game, and he's obviously the most powerful player out there. What will be very interesting from now on is that, of course, we're going to look forward and not back, is that if he wins at Pebble Beach, then we all stand up and take note. Not as if we're not already, don't get me wrong, 4 out of 8 is great. If he can win at Pebble Beach, which is a very different type of test to the power game, it's a more intricate, more technical game. We will all be taking note, very much so. This will be the start of something very, very special if he can win at Pebble Beach.
Pebble Beach, obviously, can be a viciously difficult course in the spirit of many U.S. Opens, and we know from 2000 Tiger was able to master that course. Not everyone was, and you are like many golfers. Many golfers have been beat up at that course. For amateurs like me who get beat up on my local municipal course, what is it about Pebble Beach that can be such a daunting challenge to the best golfers on earth?
Well, for those who haven't been out to Pebble Beach, one, it's to me, it's the greatest vista that you have here in America. That Monterey Peninsula is something very, very unique and very special. So that's number one. Taking away the vista is you will never find a championship golf course with smaller green surfaces. They're thousands of feet square, smaller than your average green. Never mind that, is that they are rock hard and there's rough around the greens. So it's a very demanding test, which means you've got to come off the fairway to hit the green. There's no way that you are going to come out the rough with no spin and hit these greens at all. So it starts from the tee shot, and it's going to favor the guys that, the more technical guys that can hit the fairways more so than it is length. It doesn't matter how far you hit the ball at Pebble Beach, you are not hitting the greens from the rough. So that's the difference from the Bethpages or the Bellerives or the Erin Hills, where you could hit the greens from the rough. On this particular challenge at Pebble Beach, it's not. Now you add in there a little bit of wind, which is normal, you're on the Pacific Ocean, it becomes a huge test. And to win at Pebble Beach is something very special, and it'll be a great event in every way, and we're all looking forward to it, to see not just Brooks Koepka play, but also what Tiger Woods is going to score after winning by 15 in 2000, that you understand this is a better chance for him to do well without the severity off the tee than the Bethpages was. So it'll be very interesting to see what's going to happen.
Colin, at the height of Tiger's performance, his golf powers, we would look to him wearing red on Sunday, and right or wrong, talk about a psychological advantage. I remember when Jordan Spieth was on that tear, there was talk he had nerves of steel, and now with Brooks Koepka playing the way he has, there's this narrative that he does not get nervous. Whether that's true or false, Can you just give us a sense of how much nerves, especially at a place like Pebble Beach, with the wind, with those greens, with everything at stake, how much do nerves play or not play a part for the best golfers on earth when, again, these stakes are so high?
Yeah, it's a good question. The nerves thing is a myth, okay? Everybody gets nervous. Everybody wants to win, and everybody gets nervous with that thing. It's a matter of controlling it, and he seems to be controlling it extremely well. He truly believes that he starts off a major championship, Brooks Koepka, that he is going to win. Now, that takes away half of the so-called nerves that might be there. But it's still nervy because you've got to beat the best players in the world at any given time. But he genuinely believes that he's going to win. Now, that brings back the confidence bit and everything. And that's why Tiger, when he used to put on his red shirt, in the late 90s, early 2000s, that he truly believed he was going to win. And not just him believing he's going to win, but everyone else around him believed he was going to win. And this is what Brooks Koepka is starting to put down this mantle is that within the major setup right now, he believes he's going to win, and so do others now if he's in that position. You brought Brooks Koepka one off the lead coming into Pebble Beach Sunday. He knows, and you probably do, even if you're leading, that he's going to win. So that takes away the nerves. But you add in the elements that weren't in play at Belry, they weren't in play at Bethpage, and I'm talking elements about Mother Nature. I'm talking about the wind. I'm talking about the gusting wind from the Pacific Ocean. The luck is your ball in the air when the wind gusts, or is it not? A lot of luck involved. So we'll see, as I say, if Brooks is in contention even at Pebble Beach coming into that last 9 holes of Sunday, we'll all sit up and listen, because this is a test that is not so suited to him as Bethpage was. I'm convinced that Bethpage, there was 5 to 10 players that could win. You're talking Rory, Dustin Johnson, Brooks himself, the power hitters. Pebble Beach, I reckon there's 50 that could win. So that's a dramatic difference. So instead of having to beat 10 guys, he's now having to beat 50 guys. And that's a big difference.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I know you've said in the past that you believe, like many fans, that Tiger's sole focus is that number 18 and that mark, that high water mark in majors that Jack has set. Having seen what you've seen, particularly at Augusta, do you believe Tiger Woods will get there or surpass that number in his career?
It's still, it's an impossible target, we think. But winning the Masters gave us all in the world of golf light at the end of the tunnel. You think, wow, can this happen? Whatever happens, he's going to be favourite at the Masters next year. He knows that course at the back of his hand. He's won it now 5 times. He's favourite at that particular course. Now, here we go at Pebble Beach. What am I saying? He's won it by 15 shots there in the year 2000. Can he put the ball in position off the tee to allow himself to be in contention on Sunday? Can he get round that course the way that he did 19 years ago? It's a long time in life, never mind sport. Be very interesting to see. I hope he does. I hope he gets to 16. I hope he gets to 17. And then, my God, imagine, him doing well at the 18th. Incredible. Even to think about this might happen. And it's great for the game. We're all involved in the game in any way, off the course, on the course, in a commentating way or whatever. And it's great for the game of golf. And people are turning on the televisions again because Tiger Woods is involved. And it's fantastic for us all.
All right, Tom, before we let you go, you're joined with us. You're with us thanks to a wonderful whiskey. It's behind you. It's making me thirsty. I'm already planning my evening drink around it. Can you tell us about this partnership and what folks should know? I'm going to. I'm serious.
Well, I'm sure we'll send you a bottle over. You see behind my shoulders here, there's a couple of bottles, and that's the Open Special Edition that carries my name, and I'm very honoured to be that way with the Loch Lomond whiskies, and a great brand we have, the spirit of the Open, being a spirit, and the spirit of the Open Championship, and it's great. You see the green bottle now this year in honour of the Emerald Isle in Ireland, where Royal Portrush is. So it's great to be an ambassador for Loch Lomond whiskies and to promote two of our greatest exports, which of course is golf, the home of golf we are in Scotland, and of course we pride ourselves in our whiskies as well. So our two greatest exports are linked truly within the together, whiskey and golf, and anybody coming over to the Open will be able to sample the spirit of the Open, and great honour to have my name attached to such a great brand and such a great product.
And on behalf of the worldwide, America and beyond, thank you for those two exports. They have made the world a better place. Thank you to Loch Lomond and Colin Montgomerie. I really enjoyed the talk. Thanks for being here.
Well, not at all. Delighted to be talking to you. Thank you.
All right, we got to sneak a little baseball in. We're going inside the numbers on one of the best teams in the game. Certainly the team hitting the most home runs. They might surprise you. It's the Minnesota Twins. We'll go inside the numbers on what they're doing so far this season when we come back to the show here in just a minute. All right, welcome back into Reiter's Block, presented by Stefan versus the Game on Facebook Watch. I'm Bill Reiter. We're in Los Angeles, California. But one of the most interesting and surprising teams in baseball is hanging out in the Midwest in beautiful Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's right. We're going inside the numbers on the Minnesota Twins, everybody. Why not? Let's start with number 55. The Twins tied a franchise record for home runs in May last night, hitting their 55th of the month. How about 105? Minnesota already has 105 home runs this season. That's best in the majors. They're only the second team in the history of the majors to hit 100 home runs in the first 50 games. To put in perspective, it's also 2 more home runs than the 2012 World Series champion San Francisco Giants hit their entire season. Next up on Inside the Numbers, 123. The Twins sit atop the AL Central by 10 games over Cleveland, and they've outscored the Indians this season by 123 runs. That's the differential in terms of run differential between those teams. Do not sleep on Minnesota. And I don't know if you want to believe in Cleveland this year like most people. Next up is number 5. Minnesota leads the majors in 5 offensive categories, including home runs, runs driven in, runs scored, slugging, OPS, and total bases. And finally, 3+. The Twins have scored 3 or more runs in 21 consecutive games. They are just 3 games shy of tying the most in franchise history that they set back in 2006.
Sometimes it takes experience. I'm wondering if now that you have some of that experience, if you see more validity to that point, or what you think about that now that you've gone through it.
The Bucks offseason is as uncertain and troubling as that clip of Giannis storming away from a press conference. Doesn't matter, whatever the reasons, didn't like the reporter or something that person wrote, you got to stick around. And this is a Bucks team that's going to have to make some difficult decisions about which players are going to stick around. Let me just give you the list here. I got it written down, all fancy like. Chris Middleton, player option. Guy's going to be an at or near a max guy, especially how we've seen the overspend in the NBA of late. By the way, player option means he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. He's going to opt out. Malcolm Brogdon, restricted. I've talked a lot here about he's part of that 50-40-90 club. He's going to get a massive offer from somebody. Are the Bucks going to match it? Brook Lopez, unrestricted. You've also got Nikola Mirotic, who are unrestricted. But between Middleton, Brogdon, and Lopez, there is no way you can bring all three of those guys back. For me, I'm re-upping Middleton. I saw what he was about. I saw what he did. I buy last season as an indicator of where he's going, not a one-off in a contract year. And I love Malcolm Brogdon. Both those guys are going to require massive money, with all respect to Brook Lopez, and he was great. They got him off the scrap heap. Really, they got him off the Los Angeles Lakers, who don't know what they're doing. This is a Milwaukee team that has the right coach in Budenholzer, that has a superstar in Giannis. He's got to work on, though, his ability to manage his frustrations. You got to be a pro when you're the face of a franchise. And you add Middleton and Brogdon as the core to build around long-term in Milwaukee. I love everything about it. It will be expensive. You're not luring a Kemba Walker who you don't need. You're not luring a Jimmy Butler. You're not luring any of those guys. That is the move, Milwaukee, for the future. Spend the money on your young guys. We're done here. We'll be back tomorrow at Writer's Block. Appreciate you hanging out. Tommy Tran is taking over down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Tommy going to get you caught up on everything trending in the world of sports. And as always, Sportsline's got you covered with your gambling needs and insight in 30 minutes. I'm Bill Reiter. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow.